All right, welcome back everyone to Recharging the Human Battery. I'm Dr. Stefano Sinicropi, your friendly orthopedic spine surgeon and wellness advocate. I'm joined by my wonderful co-host, Mandi, Dickey. We're back in action today, as usual, fired up. And, you know, before we do these shows, we always kind of talk a little bit about what we want to talk about. But since we pretty much talk about the same topics all the time, we were just talking, I mean, it starts getting pretty easy to talk about topics that it's just really part of our fiber, right? What we talk about. It's so easy to come here and try to share with you some of the knowledge that we have from being in the system for so long and trying to get the message out. And before we started the show, let's call it the green room. I don't know what they call it here, but let's say the upstairs green room. We were just talking about how much brainwashing has really occurred in our medical community, but also in the lay population. And I know that you have heard us talking about this before. And it's a big problem. And I'm in the middle of writing my book right now, and this was the subject of the conversation this week, and that's why we're just going to keep the conversation going today. So one of the first things we'll talk about is how ingrained some of these fallacies that we have in our minds are, and I'll tell you, they're fallacies. They're not true. Like, for example, if I eat junk food in moderation, that's fine for my health. That's not true. If I am on boatloads of medication, that's fine because that's what's recommended to me and that's how I'm treating my disease. That's not true. We could just go on and on, but one of the things I'm just going to ask Mandi right now, and this we're really going to get into, how did this happen? Like, why is it so bad? I mean, I have my ideas, but before we get into our into the next segment, like, how is it? And I know you have conversations with people all day, every day, and you're telling them something, and you're speaking a different language, and it's so self-evident. It's like we love to talk about, right, the Constitution, like these truths we hold to be self-evident, and they're so obvious to us. But somehow it's like mysterious to people.
It's not really mysterious, honestly. I think it was a slippery slope to begin with. There were probably some good intentions trying to get people on the right track, but as we try to mass produce everything, you have to minimize things and make things simple. And we have so many additional things in our lives that we have to deal with that a lot of it was convenience. So everything has been built on convenience, thinking that, well, in the long run, we'll fix it at some point. But that at some point keeps getting further and further out, and we get further and further past the point of being able to repair it.
Yeah, I mean, you bring up one, interesting point, and we could talk about that later, because first I kind of want to talk about, in the next segment, the medical mindset, like the West. And I know we've talked about it on the show. We're gonna hit it a little bit, of a different angle, but you hit something, and we'll get that into the general population that really doesn't understand these foods of convenience. First of all, their nutritional value is nothing. We talked about ramen noodles upstairs, right? That's like having cardboard. And chemicals and salts and this kind of, it depends on what they put in there for preservatives. I mean, those things, if you take the average thing that's on the shelf, if you come back in 3 billion years, it's still there in the same form. That probably is not good, because that's not what happens with an apple or an orange. So that's a whole other thing. But people have to understand these things of convenience and just these mass-produced things. Yes, it's great in a third-world country where there's just literally nothing. So you just have to get people Frosted Flakes, because that's it. That's all you can afford. But in our country, come on, we can do better than this, and we'll dive into these topics, and it should be a lot of fun on the other side of the break. We'll be back shortly on Recharging the Human Battery. We're on AM 950 radio, and we'll talk to you real soon. welcome back to Recharging the Human Battery radio show. I'm Dr. Sinicropi, joined by Mandi, our esteemed nurse practitioner, and we got problems, folks. We've got problems. So let me talk. So here, as we set up the stage for how brainwashed we've become, because I do want to talk about the medical community and again, I love my medical community. Everyone's trying to do the right stuff, but you know what? We become hypnotized just like everyone else, because not only are we providers, we're also citizens of the population. So we're exposed to all the same advertisements and all the same, other things, as you guys are. But just going back, so this week, before we're doing this show, I did a post on the difference between the labeling of food here and in the UK. It was just an example, because this last week in Congress, it's a big deal. People like Jillian Michaels, all these prominent doctors, they all went and presented to Congress for this day where they just talked about how horrible things are going and how we're poisoning our children and our population, the chronic disease crisis, and so on. And we had, there was one presenter that, and it was a good example, and I thought I'd just throw it out there, food for thought. And so if you look at the ingredients in McDonald's fries in the United States, it was a long list of things that some people probably can't pronounce. And then you look at the fries in the UK, I mean, it's still, loaded with seed oils, but it was a lot less ingredients. So then this sparked this huge, this post, it was everywhere. I mean, there were hundreds and hundreds of comments on the post, but there were a couple themes that stuck out. So there were three things. 90% of people, because of the people that tend to follow me, were like, that's disgusting, and generally it shouldn't be that way. We've got to do something about it. And most people were like, I would never eat McDonald's fries. That's horrible. But again, the people that follow me might not be representative of the general population. And then we get into the other kind of the smaller commentary, which is just interesting. So on the side that I was fine with is a lot of people wanted to make the point. So a bunch of UK people jumped on there, or people that lived on the other side, and they said, our fries are gross too. We shouldn't be eating them. And of course, my response is, I agree with you 100%. I'm just showing the difference in food labeling, and we can make that. But the argument was made in front of Congress that there was a difference in food labeling, and a lot of people just wanted to say, because of the laws that are different in the different things, a lot of people seem to think that the ingredients are actually the same, but they can be hidden more because the labeling laws are different. That is not what was argued in front of U.S. Congress, but that's fine. I am not a food safety expert. I'm not, but I'm 100% in agreement that French fries, as part of the normal human diet staple from McDonald's, it's not what you want to be doing. They're loaded with seed oils. They're loaded with things that are going to increase your inflammation. Here, you guys want to do a little experiment? If you have something that hurts you, if you have an if you've just gotten over like a broken foot, you have a sprained ankle, whatever you want, try eating McDonald's for 3 days in a row and tell me your pain level doesn't go up, because you're going to feel like crap, okay? And if you want to do that on a basis, so again, that in moderation, I'm not going to condone it, but I'd rather you have McDonald's fries 2 times a week than 19. That's good, but let's try to aim for 0. So that was the other thing coming out of the UK. I agreed with them. Funny people. They're like, you think our fries are good? I wouldn't recommend it. The concerning category were those people that were completely kind of missing all that point. And so I kind of got into it with this doctor on there. So he was kind of like, bro, I don't know this guy, but he's like, bro, he's like, it's just labeling. Why are you posting this? You need to be more scientific on this. I'm like, he's like, you shouldn't be giving medical advice. I'm like, number one, it's it's social media. I don't give medical advice. I'm posting the difference between labels on food. I'm not telling people, oh, you need to eat or this. And then there was like, oh, the correlation. Well, maybe it's just correlation, but it's not causation. Well, if you want to find out, sir, please go and have that as your normal daily food, and let's talk in 10 years and let's see how you're doing. And then other people, if you want to find out if it's causation or correlation, have fun. That's just so I'm getting into it with this. It's just fun. It was just like a little fun jest thing. But then, the reason I'm laughing is because the guy comes and he says, I don't know, he's like mad because I'm just calling him out. I'm like, I get it. That's not the point of the post. And so I said, yeah, I agree with you. I understand what people are arguing. I don't know the management at McDonald's. I don't know if they're trying to hide stuff. I don't know that. But the point is that in America, those things are in there. In Britain, they may or may not be in there. It's still crap. So I said, in general, how about never have fries? Never have McDonald's fries. If you want to make fries, cut some potatoes, put them in coconut oil. That's infinitely more healthy than the crap that you get when you go to these things. And it's literally garbage. It's petrochemicals. If you want to have petrochemicals, things that have been where those seed oils come from, they're washed in these crazy solvents. The solvents might still be on there, make you sick. Anyway, it was the funniest. I'm doing this. I'm at my kid's soccer game. So the guy, and I'm like, okay, he's not going to respond. Because I was just like, well, just don't ingest that. It's fine. I get it. I don't care. It doesn't matter. It's not the point. His response was, so you're telling me no one should ever have McDonald's? Like, he was like so upset that I'm telling people not to have McDonald's. That's when I stepped in. I said, yes, that is what I'm saying. I said, if you want to have a diet that is not, I don't exactly know how I said, but is not promoting inflammation and chronic disease, it shouldn't be part of your diet. And then the conversation stopped. Because I don't know, I don't know, why are we having this conversation, sir? You're a doctor. You're a doctor. You don't understand. Do you recommend fries to your patients? If your patients come in and say, I have fries 4 times a week, that's great. That's great work. No, we can't do that because that's not real. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We all know that what is in that stuff is correlated, causing whatever, but in combination with other toxins, it's bad. What say you to that story? Is that something that you're like, oh yeah, that's great. We should. I'm like, sir, you are a doctor. Why are you having this conversation? Like, no, just no. I'm sorry. I'm very. We have open minds, but we're not promoting fast food fries to people.
Yeah.
I'm just not doing it.
Yeah. First off, I'm kind of dumbfounded that a doctor would have that conversation with you. But as providers, we should be practicing what we preach and eating healthy and exercising and getting all the sleep and doing all the things. We're not all great at that, but we shouldn't be encouraging people to do that kind of things either. In neurology, I was always talking to people about anti-inflammatory diets. So
yes.
Decreasing the inflammation because it hurts your brain. And really all of that stuff is type 3 diabetes when we have all of the processed foods, the sugars, the too much of all the things that cause inflammation in our body, because inflammation leads to diabetes. It leads to other things that we see in our bodies. And if we're trying to encourage our patients to be healthy, it should be, as I've always told my patients, eat real food. Real food, things that you can pronounce, things that you look at it and it doesn't have to have a label because it's actually real food. But really anything that has a label is going to cause some problems in our diet on a general rule. But have you seen those McDonald's fries that get stuck in your backseat? And if you ever do get them, and 10 years later when you clean out the car to sell it, they're still the same. So we shouldn't be putting that in our bodies.
And you made a good point, before on the break. What does that remind you of?
It reminds me of the movie WALL-E with the oh my gosh, no, I'm trying to blank on the word. The Twinkie. The Twinkie that's still there years after people have been on this earth. So if things are meant to stay on the shelf and live and keep their color and do all those things, they're not meant to go in our bodies.
Yeah, and first of all, if you guys haven't seen the movie WALL-E, watch it with your families. It's great for kids and it's great for adults. And so I just give you the premise without spoiling the movie. Basically, it's us way far in the future. We've destroyed the Earth. There's something in it for everybody. So for those of you that are like super, we're destroying the planet, beautiful, great movie to watch, right? Because all you see is junk, and so there's these robots. They're cleaning up the Earth. It's post-apocalyptic Earth, and so we've left Earth, and we're in this like spaceship. But the thing about it is, the people, they literally are so fat that they cannot get out of their chairs. And so they're just moved around in these moving chairs around the spaceship. And
Shakes.
and they're having these massive, like, gulpies times 5. I mean, you're talking like, I don't even know, like 500-ounce shakes. And their clothes, like, they can purchase clothes and it automatically changes on them. They're like, oh, red is the new blue. Ooh, and they'll just, so they're still consuming stuff, but they literally cannot get out of their chairs and walk. That's the be all end all. And it just makes so many important points about where humanity is going. And I couldn't agree with that more. And so if people don't want to promote anti-inflammatory, that's fine. And you can leave whatever lifestyle you want. But I encourage you to watch the movie the movie WALL-E, and ask yourself, is that where you want humanity to go? Because that's exactly where we're going.
That's where we're headed.
And yeah, with AI and robots, our lives are even going to be easier. So we don't have to do anything. So we could just sit around and we could have McDonald's fries all day, and we could just have it all and just be sick and gorked out, and somebody could push us around. And listen, I want to talk, like, we love people. And so, sometimes I want to get emotional with my patients. I'm sitting there in front of people. They're morbid, they're sick, they have no idea what's going on, mismanaged, because people are just blowing them off. It's almost like, whatever, yeah, here's medicine for your diabetes, here's whatever, this person's too far gone, whatever. That's the opposite. And I've had conversations, and people, then they see I'm getting emotional, they start crying. I mean, it's a whole, seriously. And I'm just like, we have to fix you. We have to do something. So when we talk about like WALL-E and people being so obese they can't, get out a thing, listen, I'm going to have some real talk with you. And again, please don't throw arrows at us. Don't throw anything. I'm just making observations, right? We all have our own flaws and we have other stuff. We just happen to be lucky because we've actually been able to see it. So we've made our own changes in our lives and done whatever. But I'm going to tell you something. The Minnesota State Fair, you go there. I mean, how many people are immobile and are going around in scooters? And again, I'm sorry, I'm not picking on you. I want to hug those people. That is I don't want to like say anything derogatory. I don't want to do anything. I literally want to just give them a hug and say, what went wrong and how can we help you? But the fact that if you go to the Minnesota State Fair, if you go anywhere, any of these big open, so you see a lot of people where you have to do a lot of walking, and you see all these people. It's not they're not in these mobile scooters. They're not in the mobile scooters because they have an amputation. They're not there because they had some horrible thing going on, or they're paralyzed, or they have some ulcer that they. No, they're in the chair because they cannot get out of the chair. Let's watch the movie WALL-E. Think about what I just said, and let's ask ourselves, for the love of all that is holy. I don't know how to say it better. But is this where we want to go as a society? And I'm sorry, I'm going to call it out, and I cannot wait for my book to come out, because I know that people are going to be like, oh, this guy's harsh on everybody and whatever. I'm harsh because the gentle reminders, the gentle criticism, hey, let's try it. It's not working. Why? Because the powers that are on the other side of the coin, that is big industry, that is literally trying to poison you every single day, commercial after commercial, billboards, junk, value meals, this medicine, that medicine. It's such a powerful message. You got to fight fire with fire. So when people are doing that, I have to say, well, if you want to, like, you know what? It might be a blessing if you just die young. That might be just a blessing. But it might be better than living 30 years chronically ill, hating your life, having mental health issues, being sick. Not that there's any, I mean, those things can happen even if you live a perfect life, depending on genetic factors and other things. And if it's man-made, it sucks. It sucks that we could prevent this, and it's bothersome to me. And I almost want, like, honestly, we should just start giving out like things like almost like I don't know, like just counseling. Like, do you need to talk to somebody about how this has gone so wrong? And maybe then they can start their thing. But would you agree we have to fight fire with fire? The people that are trying to sell you are relentless. They are relentless. They will poison your children, they will poison you, and they will put you in an early grave, if not at a nursing home for 30 years. Okay? I'm just telling you, this is the truth. That we could sit here and start looking at data on chronic, that we've done it before. It's horrifying. It's absolutely horrifying. So I don't want to hear this thing, oh, correlation, causation. Look around. I think causation, I think we can infer causation for what we're seeing. Do we need to fight fire with fire?
Oh, absolutely. And even as providers, we're fighting against things, but we, as you mentioned earlier, we're getting brainwashed too, because we look at society, we're part of it, and it's lobbyists that go to try to get the rules in place. That it's not us getting the rules in place. So when the food pyramid came about, it was not because lobbyists went and said, "Oh, hey, we need more carbs." It's they presented information that was actually healthy, but then another set of information was presented that was affordable for public support and whatever. Mm-hmm. And that's the following that they went with, and that had the food pyramid built the way it is now. Yes. It wasn't based on health. It wasn't based on anything that's good for you, but it's based on what could be afforded. If we had to support somebody, what could the government afford to support that? And that's where that started. And then with physicians, there's insurance companies. It's insurance companies telling us as providers what we can do. And again, it doesn't line up with what we actually recommend for patients, but it's what we have to follow. And then if you have to have, say, 85% of your patients with diabetes maintained, it's easier to give them a medication than to try to do something nutritional and say, hey, don't eat the things that our government has told you to eat this instead.
Right.
Because that's more work to try to eat healthy. You have to do more work. You have to cook more food. It's not a convenience thing. So convenience got us into this problem. We need to be inconvenient to get us out of it.
You just opened up like a whole massive can. Like everything every statement that you said, it's just a complete tirade. Number one, if you want to have autoimmune disease, if you want to be obese, if you want to have diabetes, hypertension, early onset dementias, dare I go on, then follow the food pyramid. It's very, very simple. And I could tell you that Dr. Lufkin, I think I might have mentioned this before on the show. I've certainly said it on my podcast. I had him on. And he had a great post on social media. But by the way, follow him. His posts are actually, it's a combination of sarcasm, anger, funny. It's just great. But he had a post. He showed a video of the representative for the American Diabetic Association talking about it, and his quote was, "If you want to get diabetes, follow the advice that this woman just gave you." Yeah. And that post went crazy. And it's that's absolutely right. So that. That's one part of it. You talk about the insurance thing. It's so critical. I mean, listen, we talked about this on an earlier show about insurance, and I literally, I cannot wait for my book to come out, because I just went on a whole tirade about how we're doing it. And that's why myself and Mandi, even though we still are in the westernized system. I mean, like spine surgery is different. I mean, spine surgery. It's not like really holistic. It's like you just do spine. So it's different. But as far as the medical system, we've both kind of decided to step out of the traditional medical system with our wellness centers, and now with our medical center that's going to be opening up here, because we want to be able to offer patients things that are good for them, not what the insurance company dictates. And that was one of my tirades that I went on in the book, which is that even understanding that there's other things available, doctors only have so much time to counsel you. And so trying to force people to spend out-of-pocket dollar, even if that's dramatically better for them. So avoiding the medicines doing that. If one, they think that the patient's not going to be compliant with that and there's just too much work to be done, then that's a problem too. If the patients can't afford it, that's a problem. Don't even bother. They just go right to, well, your insurance is going to cover this, so let's just put you on this. We're just going to just put you, yeah, you kind of failed the oral glipizide. Now we're going to put you on insulin, hardcore insulin, which you know where that goes. You're going to be more and more and more diabetic, more dysfunction, more metabolic lifestyle management. If we just told people the truth, because I've had so many conversations with so many of my diabetic patients. The advice they're getting is plain, it's ridiculous. I don't care. I'm calling it out. I'm done, because it is absolutely ridiculous. They're not getting the lifestyle changes. They're not getting all this other stuff, and they're just being managed on medications, and they're getting worse. They're sicker. They're more obese. They have worsening disease. And they're being treated, right? Because we're just treating the symptom. All right, let's get into the provider thing, because obviously when me and Mandi get together here on the show, who knows where we're going with this stuff. But so two things. I don't want to talk so much. I'm just going to throw this out there. One of the things, we've talked about this before, so I don't want to just kind of bombard you guys with this. Where we train in our schools, the amount of preventative care, vitamins, deficiencies, nutrition, all this other stuff is not taught. We're really teaching hardcore pharmacology. Obviously, we learn physiology, we learn other stuff. And I'm be honest with you. And again, I just don't mean to go. I'm like really focusing on the book right now, because I'm in the middle of it. Anticipating to be done in a couple months. But I was just as brainwashed as anything, because honestly, those of us that go to these professional schools, a lot of times we're kind of nerds. We're kind of science nerds. We love the science. And I just said, because one of the questions that I was asked by this interviewer was like, why did you get wrapped up? Because I'd be the first person to say, was I indoctrinated? Yeah, I was indoctrinated too. How did I get Well, I love this stuff, like understanding pharmacology and the way that these unique medicines work. And there's tens of thousands of these things, how they work to change specific molecular, reactions that happen in the body. It's fascinating. I could go down that rabbit hole all day. Why? Because we're scientists, those of us that go into that. We love it. Oh my God, this is how this works. This antihypertensive, it's fascinating because it works here. Or this one targets the kidney, versus targeting, the smooth muscle cells within the walls of the vessels or whatever. I mean, it's fascinating. So we go down these rabbit holes. So then we see people, and what do we want to do? We want to put them on these meds because we want to change that molecule and just kind of see how it goes. Well, the problem is there's a lot of side effects with these things. I urge you to, when you watch those drug commercials on TV, do this, record it, and then listen to all the side effects kind of at the end of it when they go. So there's they'll spend maybe 50% of the commercial. I'm just throwing this out. Depends on the commercial. They'll spend 50% telling you how great it is, right? And they'll, somebody will be just kind of, they'll be traipsing around, so happy, smiles, everybody's happy. Oh, we're on these meds for my skin. I'm so my plaque psoriasis is better or whatever. And then they spend 50% telling you, well, you may be blind, you may have this, it may cause death, don't take it with these other meds, don't take it with these other stuff. Isn't it weird that we don't pay attention, our brain doesn't pay attention to that? Because the guy's still traipsing around, super happy, flying a kite. All his kids are following him. Times have never been better. This is a roaring 20s, man, right? It's preposterous. What's going on. So again, we're just brainwashed by this stuff. Before I go on to how how we're sucked in. What do you? Am I right? I mean, did you get sucked in too with the pharmacology? fascinating.
It's incredibly interesting. It's learning about how different genes can be expressed by depending on what medications you use, and you can actually do genetic testing to figure out what kind of medication might work best for some people. And mental health, that's a big thing. And it's really cool how you do that. But just to add on to that, this whole side effect thing, Jimmy Fallon did a skit years ago. He was talking about how the commercials come across like that, and it was a medication for restless leg syndrome, which he called the Jimmy legs. He's like, but if you listen to the end of it, you can have uncontrolled diarrhea, excess spending, you can become addicted to spending money on all these other things. And he's like, I'd rather have the Jimmy legs. So it's just, we don't listen to those things, but when we do, it's like, maybe I should take a second and think, do I really want to get on that medication? And some of them are necessary, but come on, all of them?
No, I mean, come on is right. And I can tell you, I've talked about it before. Like, just, you think simple medications. I mean, they want to put, there was I can't even explain to you. So, for example, Prozac, that's a big one, right? People were given that, it just like candy. I mean, there's books written about these stuff, folks. But I was talking to a really good friend of mine. He's a physician. And he has a special needs child that has pretty severe autism. So they're very much into holistic care and looking at ways outside of the medical system. And we were just going. We always go down these rabbit holes, and people just want it. It's so funny there by Moses, but we just got into this discussion of statins. And so we've both seen patients that statins, for they're medicines that lower your cholesterol. We can have an entire show that can go for 10 hours, and we could go through all the studies on high LDL cholesterol and how you can cherry pick how you want to correlate it with different cardiovascular disease and this and that. We don't do a lot of that because as you can see by the way the show is going, this is not the type of show. We're not trying to do a lecture at Columbia University to try to convince a body of scientists to change their minds on maybe changing their stat, like how they do, who they give statins to and this and that. That's not what it's for. But we're just having conversations about what we see as providers and even expecting it. I just gave an example of like all these patients I've seen on statins that have said it literally ruined their life. Now, again, there's no medical advice here. This is between you and your physician. But every time you get a medication, please, if you do nothing else, can you please do your own research and see what experts are saying? Now, we've already done the show about what the stars are saying or what the football, whoever. I don't care what they say, frankly. Look at what experts are saying across a wide variety about that medic. There's so much information out there, and then making a decision if that's the path you want to go down, or ask your doctor, well, what if I make lifestyle changes and then we reevaluate this in 3 months instead of putting me on this? But anyway, the guy goes on a huge tirade about statins and was just like, he's like, when I was training, they were like, he's like, one of my professors said we should just figure out a way to put statins in the water to keep everyone's LDL. Well, it's interesting because cholesterol is the building block of your cells, of your cell walls. It's not that, it's this mass stuff. If you think about it, they make movies about this stuff. Like you put stuff in the water, so everyone's whatever. You let's put some Prozac, let's put some statins in the water, let's put some GLP-1s in the water now because everyone needs GLP-1s. Again, I'm not anti-GLP-1s, but could we just narrow who gets what for a second? Can everyone just take a breath and calm down? Again, in spine surgery, this is why we really have to be very careful about what we do. Right before I was doing my training, before that, these anterior cages came out, okay? And they were being done for back pain. And there's actually a name for that era, and it's called the cage rage. If you had back pain, you were going to have a back fusion with these anterior cages. And guess what we found out? It's not a very good idea to operate on everyone that has low back pain. These are mania. They're almost like tulip manias. And we almost have like a drug-giving mania right now. It's bizarre. We're living in a crazy world. So the lesson is here. We all we get sucked in. I just want to make one more point before our time kind of gets short here. What that Mandi brought up before, and it's very important. So again, on the side of the schooling, and even our training, because it gets worse in our training, because then we subspecialize, right? So now it's like we're really pushed into this is what you do. So now you're not even thinking about those things. So they had a chance in med school, but now, like, as a surgeon, I'm doing surgery. So and obviously I think that's a good idea. I should probably learn how to do spine surgery. That's probably not a good time to just think about like vitamin D metabolism all day. I mean, I have to learn. You got to learn because those are like the trade schools, right? But so that's like we talked about where we get it, and we could talk about that all day. But on the other hand, we are citizens of the United States of America. So guess what? Both I and Mandi, since we were little babies, we were looking at the McDonald's arches too. You know, I don't, you know, like I was looking at the White Castle, and we have White Castles here in Minnesota, but I could tell you where I'm from, New York City. I mean, there's White Castle's as probably as prevalent as the McDonald's and the Burger Kings and Wendy's and all this other fast food. We've been indoctrinated into this world. Okay, there are movies where the movie starts where they're showing little babies video, like they're showing them movies of stuff, or they have something plugged in their head, and they just keep showing them the same stuff. They think that actually happened. It didn't even happen, but they're like, oh yeah, my grandma used to live on the hill with the grass. I was like, no, you never lived there. That's how deep the indoctrination is. So we are getting it on both ends, and so we are trying to wake up, like in the Matrix, and come out of our pods, right, with all our goop on us, and say, oh, this is what's going on. And so this show is about waking you up like we've been woken up because we have a problem. Mm-hmm. Would you agree that, like, not only in our schools and stuff, but just as citizens, we also, when I was a kid, I used to think we should be taking medicines for everything. It's great because what did I do? I saw my parents, right? They had something. They went for the pill bottle.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you said it just there. It's what we saw. It's what we grew up with. So when we even talk about how things are spread through the country or whatever, we talk about genetic things. Genetic things also include your habits. So what you see, what you're raised with, the way your parents did it, it might not be a genetic thing in that, oh yeah, they have type 1 diabetes, so you're going to have type 1. But because of how they exercise, how they eat, the food choices, they teach you those things, and those become genetic. Those become your habits. And we know better, so we have to do better now.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it's hard, right? I mean, I crossed the 50 mark, last year. It's hard to reverse people that have had 50 years of completely being indoctrinated, with this stuff. I was lucky. I mean, I got to see it firsthand, and it always bothered me, and I was at the right place at right time, and now, I can't stop talking about this stuff. But for those people that are sitting in front of us, they with their 96-ounce big gulp, and it's 7:00, and I know I repeat the same stuff over and over again, but it just bothers me. I'm so bothered. Or their pumpkin spice latte. That's disgusting. Wake up. It's not, you're literally sending yourself, and it's even when I see that, and then their kids are doing the same thing, and it's 7:00 in the morning. I just want to call the nurse and please take my blood pressure. Let's do a little experiment here. How bad is it?
Yeah. Well, not to toot my own horn, but my kids eat vegetables, and people always ask me, how do you get your kids to do that? I'm like, that's just that's what we did. We eat the vegetables. We eat the fruits. So when my kids get home from school, they grab a pack of baby carrots out of the fridge, and that's what they eat. They're not going to grab the chips because, for one, we don't really have them very often, but it's how you live, and it's just the expectations that you set. And I had talked to somebody recently. They're like, well, I don't want to give up all the things that I love. And you love those things because somebody told you to love them, not because you actually love them. And once we took away the sweet things, the naturally sweet things taste better.
No, absolutely. And again, if you're having petrochemicals all day that are literally designed by food scientists to get you hooked and addicted to stuff, yeah, that, of course, the orange doesn't quite taste as good. We got a lot of change to make. Hopefully we made a little dent in it right here. We'll see you guys on the other side of the break on AM 950 Radio. We'll finish it up.
Battery on AM 950 Radio. I'm Mandi with Dr. Sinicropi, finishing up our talk here today. And just really quick, I was talking about how when I used to work in stroke in the hospital and we would have to have patients sent out on a statin medication. I couldn't let that one go. We had to have at least 90% of our patients on it when they left the hospital. So there was no time for lifestyle conversation and management. And that's just another way that they get us as providers, where we have to do these things and we don't get to do the things that actually work for the patients.
No, absolutely. And again, our show is not really, we're not here to try to give you medical advice or anything like that. I mean, we're going to bring up controversies because right now the LDL thing is, I will tell you, there are controversies between, like, for how neurologists think about it, how cardiologists think about it, how functional medicine specialists, integrative. There's a lot of stuff, and I urge you to look at some. It's pretty fascinating, probably more fascinating to us than it might be to you. But the bottom line is, but you bring up a massively important point. And that is, how in the world do we have all these chronically ill patients in the hospital, and our main targets for what we're trying to do is making sure they're on this medicine, this protocol, that protocol, but none of those protocols have to do with very aggressive, intensive counseling with them as to how everything they've done to that point led to this moment, and how changing that will be the best way to keep them from coming back, getting readmitted, being sick. Patients are being sent out, no change in their, nothing. It's the same. We see it all day, it's the same. We're repeating the cycle. The hamster wheel is the best thing. It's the hamster running on the wheel. I know people use that for other stuff like the rat race thing, but it's the same thing. It's Groundhog Day. We're just doing the same stuff, spinning, and then those patients come right back in. I mean, how many of those patients that are like the chronically ill? It's like the same. It's the same. It's like we're recycling. I mean, it's just.
We used to joke about frequent flyer miles.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that is a big joke. We're not making fun of anybody, but But the thing about it is, as providers, we have to do something about it. We can just say, oh, here's another frequent flyer, but how are we actually impacting them lifestyle-wise, or making those choices, making sure, and we give a 5-minute yelling at a patient because they're still smoking doesn't work. They need intensive discussions and being put down the right paths and doing stuff like that. Smoking's easy. It's very simple. Like you either smoke or you don't. Other things, such as changing your diet, nutrition, other things, you can't. What am I going to do in 5 minutes? You can't do anything. We need to do better as a medical community. But the number one thing we need to do as medical providers and as lay public, we need to wake up together. And that's what this show is all about. And that's why I'm so excited to do this week in and week out, because I want to wake up more myself, but I want to help you guys to wake up as we close out here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I loved when I had extra time that I could talk with people about diet and nutrition, and I actually had a document that I created that went through each food category, what you should eat, what you shouldn't eat, but I couldn't even have the nurses give it to them because it wasn't the ADA recommendations. So there's so many things that we can do, so many things that we want to do, and it's just one step at a time, baby step at a time, one episode at a time. And there's so much that we need to change. Where do we start?
Yeah, I mean, and it's true. It's one episode at a time. And the reason that I've become so involved in media, and I try to be heard, and the book and all this other stuff, and you've been in media for a long time, is because we get to touch more people. Otherwise, it's just who shows up in my office. Mm-hmm. But when you get the microphone in front of you, okay, we hope that we continue to grow and touch as many people as we can to try to make meaningful impacts in their lives, because we care about you, we care about your families, your children, your grandparents, whoever, and we want to get you guys feeling better. So join us next week on another episode of Recharging the Human Battery Radio. I'm Dr. Stefano Sinicropi, Mandi Dickey, nurse practitioner. We'll see you next week. Please take care of your families, be CEOs of your own health, and let's wake up.